Navera Njere, not taking over the operation.
We could be dealing with dangerous gang that doesn't hesitate to pull the trigger. Let's make sure our families see us alive.
There's a shipment of mukula tree. And it's worth a lot of millions.
Ayana Kupela Maka. I would like to thank my brother and friend, Koban over here. Amaka Yonse Yove.
Let me have dinner with you on Saturday. I will give you that treat.
Thank you so much. You need a good woman in your life, you know?
Business so amateur. I'm questioning my decisions,
I have a lead. Is that necessary?
I'm not taking care of you.
Stop or else I'll put a bullet in your back.
Akapokona n'abasabi kunguko.
Go next. What is Chef Yumuti?
You name this girl many years.
Tell me the members of the gang. I want names.
If I talk, I'm a dead man.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. Welcome to Youth Film Platform, pre-sessions before graduation. And today we have a very interesting topic. So before we start, we'd just like to join Zambia and the rest of Africa on a moment of silence as we mourn Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. So just a moment of silence.
Hello guys, I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. Mr. Raphael, can you hear me? Esther, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
All right. Mr. Raphael, can you hear me? Mr. Raphael, can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, let me know as soon as you can hear me, then I'll start. All right, so we'll just wait for Mr. Raphael as soon as he...
You're breaking up, Michael.
I think, Mr. Raphael, you can try to leave and join again if you can't hear us.
Michael, you can say something?
Maybe, Michael, as we're waiting, you can be introducing what this panel discussion will be all about. as we're waiting to have our guest back. And thank you guys for joining in. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. This is Youth Film Platform, and these are pre-sessions before the graduation. Today's topic is film distribution, and this is a very important component in the film aspect, and this is where the money is made. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of people saying, no, film is a business. So today we'll be looking at the business aspect of film. I've got my guest here, Mr. Raphael. Can you hear me, sir? Okay, great.
Sorry, Michael, you're breaking up. I can't really hear what you're saying.
Esther, can you hear me?
All right. Saying sorry. I had my mic mute, so I waved. I can hear you.
All right. Great. Our guest today is no stranger to the Zambian film industry and to the international community. A lot of shows people watch on Zambezi Magic. He's the man behind that as well. He's a writer, a director, and a producer. He recently just released his latest film, Gunland, which has just taken Lusaka by storm, and very soon we'll hear about it. He's got vast experience, and he's also not just a writer and a director or producer. There's a saying that we say that if you want 1,000, plant a tree. If you want 1,000,000, plant maize or cassava. But if you want a lifetime fortune, plant men. He's also a planter of men and has impacted many of us, including myself. Mr. Raphael, welcome to Youth Film Platform discussion.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here and being afforded a chance to talk to many of the youth.
Great. So I'll get right in. With me as well, I've got my co-students, Esther from Namibia and Nchimuya, who's also from Zambia, and they'll also be part of this discussion. So straight on, who is Raphael Nyirenda?
Well, Raphael Nyirenda is a family man, and he's a creator. In short, he's a storyteller. Yeah.
All right. Very good. He's a storyteller. So today we'll be talking about film distribution, and you have you have a film called On Canvas, which we will show the trailer as we go on in this interview. And the film has made some waves locally and internationally. Please share to us, as a filmmaker, what are some of the components you put in place to ensure the distribution is on point? What strategies do you put in place?
To begin with, film business in Zambia has always been quite challenging, especially that we do not have dedicated film schools. So many of the things that we've learned through trial and error. You knock on this door, it doesn't open, you knock connect until one opens. Coming background of making films and this on deep, where you just go out to people. Yes. When digital platforms came on, we started. I learned something, especially after reading so much about film business. And my favorite book is The Business of Showbiz. You can look that up. It will open your mind on how to distribute films, on the language of distribution and the business side of it. Yes. So when the first project that we had internationally distributed was On Canvas, of course, and how we got distribution is media presence. Very important. Content creator, you have to utilize. So what we did, exposed ourselves on social media extensively. We had paid ads and stuff. We were promoting a movie which did not even have a distributor. until one distribution agency, which is based in New York, of course, found us on social media, and then they inboxed us, and then they asked about our details, and then that's how the business started. We started exchanging emails, and they even walked us through all the processes of how to prepare content for distribution, the documentation, the packaging, the press kits, and everything. So in short, I might not brag that we had a strategy, but instinct taught us to be instinct plus a few knowledge taught us to be present on social media, and an agent found us on social media, and then they contacted us, and then from then on it was just momentum.
All right. That's kind of encouraging, because I wanted to ask what independent filmmakers and young filmmakers like us. So you've actually spoken about the strong presence of social media. How is how effective is social media today in an independent filmmaker's pursuit to distribute their film? Is social media very effective on reaching out to distributors?
Social media, that flows, you can reach a certain number of viewers. Yes, it's a lot of and then agreements are looking for content, and the next place they go to after they check out the film festivals and stuff is social media. They'll check your trailers on YouTube. If those trailers impress, then they'll accord you a chance. Like we attracted our distribution agency through YouTube, and I mean through YouTube and Facebook, because we did a lot of promotion on Facebook. Yes, and then another method is networking. You never stop networking. We keep collecting numbers, collecting email addresses of people. So it's one thing leading to the other. So networking is also important, and it's a good way to go. You don't know who has the number for who, or you don't know who has an email address of who, but somehow you get to meet someone who will be interested in distributing your film.
Yeah, very interesting. I think in one of our classes, it was actually talking about the importance of networking. Before I bring my colleague Esther on to ask a question, I heard you speak about the paperwork that was involved, and I know it can be a lot of paperwork. May you just share some of the paperwork involved and some of the things needed to have a good distribution deal? And for those that don't know as well, On Canvas is currently on Showmax right now. So what are some of those documentations that are needed, especially for us young filmmakers that are about to enter into the industry? What can we have ready to hit the ground running?
Okay, when you have done your post-production and you have your film complete, yes, like most amateurs, when we are coming from the amateur background, we think when I have my film in MP4, then I have the final film. It's actually not the final. You have to master your film. You have to master your film in either MXF or ProRes, which is a very huge file, because some of these high-end streaming sites require that instead of the compressed M4. And then after that, there's what we call transcoded dialogue. This is where you write each and every line spoken on the film. So each and every line of dialogue that's on the film has to be written with its time code, and then you export that into a file called an SR. This is in other countries, they are strict on disability, like that. People who so that as well. Where you talk briefly about the production process of your film.
I think
also character bios. All those are documents. Are you able to hear me?
All right. Yes, I think your network is a bit tripping. Maybe you can just come again on that point.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying, excuse me. I was saying, among the documents that you need to prepare is there's a file called an SRT file after you've done your master, and this is the file that accompanies your visuals, and then there's a producer brief which you need to prepare, and there's a cast and crew, a bit of cast and crew details like made casts. Yeah, those are the documents supposed to act, and you have to have a scene of the film. You have to have a bit of there's a document we call a treatment that we use to pitch when you want to access financing for the film and stuff. That document, somehow distributors also wanted the document even after you've shot your film. And then after that, distributors also want script. And then after that, you also have your business documents. Like if you registered company, you have your registration in the tax register, because people you are dealing with are business people, so they want to do it by the law. Unfortunately, most filmmakers want to make films without registering their business, so they get stuck when they reach a point where the distributor wants you to be a business. If you're not a business, you have high chances of being ripped off. Yes.
Yeah. Well, though that was a lot of information, actually, a lot of information, and your network was tripping a bit. But I just want to connect the part where you said, so as a filmmaker, obviously this is the business aspect of it. One is that you have to be legally cooperative. So if you're not legally cooperative, especially in your country, you will not have a good deal. And you also spoke about the treatment as well. And that is what is used to pitch. And yeah, I wanted to pose a question on one of the difficulties that are faced, for example, in our content going to the world. And I remember when you were talking about some of the things that are required, I was trying to pitch in a certain movie on behalf of someone and trying to distribute it. And one of the things they had to feel was the sound. And I realized that some of our sound, the fact that it's not original, hinders our films from going forward. What are other obstacles that are faced so that we as young filmmakers don't face them? For example, if you have music that is not produced by yourself, you have to have the rights. What are other factors that hinder a distribution deal?
Yes. I also forgot one more aspect. There are other documents you need to accompany a film with, like the music cue sheets. Like for instance, the music you've used on your film has to be licensed, and then the music cue sheet is what helps the distributor or the broadcaster to trace the origin and the legality of that music. And then you asked about other obstacles. Yes, other obstacles are quality, because some distributors are very particular on the quality of the product sending out there, especially on sound. For instance, we invest so much in picture, but we're forgetting that whatever goes into that bag, 50% of it is sound. But we don't invest much on sound. And I learned the hard way I think that's about 6 years ago when I tried to send film somewhere and it was sent back because of stuff. Now imagine after all the money spent to make that film. Yes. So the other factor that and the other thing that is there's so much competition out there, and then sometimes we rush to finish a film without paying detail to the requirements of the film. Like for instance, most of the time we make a film, but we are not clear what the genre is, and then whoever you're pitching to, they have to know the genre and the target audience. Like for instance, right now the most marketable target audience are like films rated family. Like broadcasters want that a lot because of the pandemic, people are watching films as a family. So if your family, if your film target audience is above family, chances of it being taken over someone who has provided something that is family are slim. So quality, genre, we have to be very particular with the genre we are trying to market. And then the other thing is that on your part as a filmmaker, you have to market your film. Don't depend on the distributor. Some distributors will also ask for the insights of your page, of the page of the film, so that they have somewhere to start off when marketing that film. And then some distributors, like the one currently we have a draft contract with one distributor, and one of the clauses is that you share 50% in marketing. So they will market 50%, you market 50%. So from the word go, you have to start your film.
All right. Hold that thought on the 50%. I don't know if you can hear me. Hold that thought on the 50%. I want to bring in Esther, but I will come back on the contract, the legal aspect of the contract. I don't know if Esther is up before we lose her because there's some network challenges. Esther, are you on? Okay, Esther's not on. Yes. For those that don't understand what distribution is, basically, as filmmakers, is that we make films not for them to sit on the shelves, but to be distributed to people, for people to watch them. In Zambia, some people will complain outside Lusaka saying, oh, movies are only shown in Lusaka. Have you also noticed that some movies are more accessible than others? And this is because of distribution. So the distribution deal is what gets the films to the viewers. So bigger film industries like Hollywood, they're able to access our markets, but it's hard for us to access our markets to them. And this is what Mr. Raphael is speaking about. And this is a very important topic. I want to understand the contract part as well. So some rumor has it that somebody was asking a question when they saw this thing, that the problem with distribution with big companies is that they want to own all the rights. Please give us some knowledge on the contracts that is involved and how we can bargain, especially as an independent filmmaker, young filmmaker.
As an independent filmmaker, first of all, you have to be a businessman. And then if you're a businessman, you have negotiating skills. Some distributors, quite all right, want exclusive rights, and then they will promise you more money for that. Money which sometimes doesn't come back because they'll tell you we spent it all on marketing. So you have to be smart on negotiate. That's why as a businessman you're required to learn how to negotiate. If you have your means and if you know that okay, I can distribute elsewhere as well, you're waiting for territory. Let's say one company wants to distribute online, and then one company wants to distribute, let's say for pay TV and stuff. You have to negotiate for a nice so that those that are distributing online will leave you space to distribute in cinemas or distribute on pay TV. But it's kind of tricky because somehow the money is involved are split, and then what ends up in your hands is little money again. Because not many distributors are at the level of say most of them are distributors. So even if they get that deal, you have to go back to work. You have to market that movie so that you are redirecting traffic to your film, because the more views it's accumulating, the more chances of you getting paid are.
Yes. Mr. Nyirenda, I'm just reading a comment. Somebody is saying, Caleb is saying, Mr. Nyirenda, this topic is too good for your internet to misbehave. Icona, man. So is it possible if I can just give you 2 minutes to check out your network, and then we're going to show a trailer of Canvas.
I cannot hear you, Michael.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
I cannot hear you.
All right. So we're just going to play your trailer for your movie on Canvas, and we'll just give you time to sort out your network. So this is a film by Mr. Raphael Nyirenda, and it's currently showing on Showmax. You can watch it. It's called On Canvas. Here's the trailer, and we'll be back with good network very soon.
You'll always be here in my heart. I wanted to share the good things of life with me.
You know she's out of your league, huh? There are plenty of girls that suit you in this neighborhood.
Sui, on the other hand, is my choice. So if you're concerned about me, you're going to respect my choice.
You know you remember my words one day, huh?
What is happening to us?
Maybe nature never intended for us to be together.
How could you be so cruel? Since when? Why did you become this evil?
I don't trust people who are too formal in addressing me. Now give me that bit of smile of truth.
What are you doing here?
Get out of here!
Yes. Mr. Nyirenda, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. So for those that have just seen the trailer, that is a film written, directed by Mr. Raphael Nyirenda. Actually, that film, I personally have been impacted by that film. I was just starting out my film career, and I met with Mr. Raphael. Actually, I was an extra on the film, but he spoke about the importance of networking. And on that film, I met Mr. Raphael, and by the next week, I was on the biggest series in Zambia as an extra, and then I got a role after that. So he spoke about the power of networking. I want to ask a question personally. Distribution, and obviously the distributors have a big say in the film, and most people think that distribution comes last, but it actually is one of the first things. Personally, I'm graduating from film school. There's a lot of advantages that film school has contributed to my career. There's one problem. I think my creativity has gone down, especially when we talk about distribution, because I don't make a film unless I know where it's going. So if I don't know where a film is going, then I don't make it. How has distribution impacted your creativity, and how can you strike the balance? And to shed more light is that I did my short film called Imizwa, and a lot of reaction came about. And one of the reactions was like, okay, make it a bigger film, extend the time. So when I was pitching it, I was given an opportunity to pitch, and the people that were going to distribute and give me funds for this film, they said, no, we're not going to support, we're not going to fund gender-based violence. They said, no, it's about abuse. No, we're not going to fund that. I said, oh, it's about suicide. No, we're not going to fund that. So I said, what do you guys want? And they said, want something, change the narrative. And I said, oh, I've got a documentary film. And they said, oh, how much can it cost to do that? And I said the price, and money was available for me to produce that. Now, at what extent can I balance between business and creativity? Because are we making films because of telling our stories, or are we telling films because the market demands it?
It's quite a big thing to treat, because the bottom line is you want to be an artist, and an artist's desire is to tell a story, and that story is heard. An artist is to paint so that people see that painting. Now come the funding of that and the business side of that. So somehow you have to strike a balance. If you cannot be a businessman, you are better off partnering with a person with some business acumen about them, so that while you are doing your creativity, the other person is also balancing the business side of it. Unfortunately, in our community, film is not a business, so you have very little people interested to partner with you. Very few people interested in partnering with you and take up the business side of things. So if you're coming from a country that understands that film and entertainment is business, you have a higher chance. Coming from where I'm coming from, art is simply you expect to be dirty, to be broke all the time. But really love that you want your eyes, you have to be a businessman as well. You have to have some entrepreneurs, and then once you are an entrepreneur, you have to learn what's trending. There are films that sell, and there are films that are just for enthusiasts. So when you know the difference between films that sell and films that are for enthusiasts, you will know which stories to invest in. Because when you go to pitch a story, like you said, they said, no, we don't want to talk about gender-based violence. How many people are going to pay and sit in a cinema watching a story about gender-based violence? According to that, to those investors or what, maybe it wasn't a hot enough topic to sell out there. Or maybe the pitch did not package it in an entertaining and sellable way. Because yes, you in an example, some years back there was a movie called Enough. It was done by Jennifer Lopez and should be Richard Gere. Yeah, it was about gender-based violence, but it was a very nice movie. A lot of people paid. I remember we paid to watch it in the cinema, but it was about gender-based violence. So probably how they packaged and pitched the finances, they packaged in a way that is going to entertain as well as talk about GBV. So that's where the business side of things comes in. When you are coming up with a treatment or a premise, make sure it is a sellable document. Make sure it's a sales story. You have your target audience or your distribution idea on where it will go or who watch it.
Yes. That's a very good point you've made. I was supposed to bring Nchimuya in. It's just that his network has a problem. But nevertheless, you've mentioned a couple of things, and this is also what I want to bring about that. Even in our society, they don't consider art as a business. So as an independent filmmaker, young filmmaker like myself, in distribution, there's a distribution where you sign conglomerate agreements and Integra and different various agreements. Now, as a young filmmaker, right, and as an independent filmmaker, how do you attract some of these things? Especially like you mentioned that Jennifer Lopez, so she's a household name. But what about a film that starring Michael Mulusa? But before you answer that question, I just want to get Esther to ask her question.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
Yes,
because I've been facing a lot of network problems.
You're loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to ask.
Here.
Yes, go on. We can hear you.
Me? Okay. No, I just wanted to ask. I'm not sure. Maybe you did answer this question because I've been missing in action throughout most of the interview. But I wanted to ask, what are the mistakes that most filmmakers do when it comes to distribution? Hello?
Okay, I did touch on that. I did touch on that when I was asked earlier. Like okay, I left out one point. Most filmmakers, when we're starting, especially in our areas, when we to make a film, budget goes to filming, just anything concerning the camera, and that's all. So most of the time, we don't know what we are going to do with those images. But a professional budget is supposed to be 40% marketing of everything that you've put together to make a film. 40% of it should go to marketing. So you start your marketing early, especially in this era of so fast with information. Tomorrow they've forgotten they're on something else. You have to keep reminding them that you are bringing a product to them very soon. So as you start, some movies start marketing before they even start principal photography. So as soon as you start filming, your Facebook page or your website for your film should also start running, so that you're building an audience slowly. Because those are the same people you're going to redirect to where the movie will be distributed. And then two, most filmmakers don't know the finishing part of a film. We'll have it edited, maybe just the first draft, and it's done. But when you take it out there to have, like, if you want someone to distribute it, they'll ask for stuff that may require you to re-edit the film, and then you have already thrown away the source footage because you have the master file. So most filmmakers make that mistake. Always back. And then some even don't even back up. Film crashes the end of the film. So if probably they expose the master file, maybe on Google Drive or somewhere, they the ones film, they usually do that when they want to send to us, because you have to make several versions of your film. A clean one with some subtitles, and then some would demand subtitles brand in or a separate file for subtitles. But if you've gotten rid of footage or your project file just because you have a master, and then the distributor asks for a tasteless file, you are stuck, and you will lose out on that deal simply because of that. Distributors nowadays are global. Your film will not only be watched in a region where they speak the language that film is in. They want to distribute it as wide as possible. Like, for instance, on Canvas, the first country it was released in actually is in India, before we saw it African websites. So how were Indians going to watch on Canvas if we did not provide separate files for them to read dub in other languages? So most film make this like we don't often then for getting as well.
All right. Before I just get Chimuya on, Mr. Raphael, is it possible if you can just check your network, because we're losing you a bit? So, yes. Chimuya, I believe you've got a question.
Okay, yeah, partly the question was covered, because I wanted to ask him, like, when is it the best time to involve a distributor? Is it from the beginning when you're actually developing the script, or is it just after you're done making the film? That's when now you think about distribution. I think you touched on that. Maybe I'd just like to know, like, most of the what is the trend that I've noticed here in Zambia is most films you either show in the cinema or in Zambezi Magic, and that's about it. So where would you best advise upcoming filmmakers to meet distributors to sort of like expand their network of how they can distribute the film, apart from doing the usual way that we know in Zambia, which has been Zambezi Magic or ZNBC? Thank you.
Very good question.
If like a little bit, I spoke about social media. You have a social media account. What do you use it? Most of the time, I use social media for all other things and forget to use it for our business. Distributors are also on social media. They are looking for content, but they can't find you because you do not involve your content in your social media activities. So that is, and then film festival. Try to enter your film in festivals. I know some people will say no, festivals are not a business module, but if you enter your movie in a non-festival, you have a higher chance of meeting a distributor if your content is good. So festivals, social media, everyone has a number somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a question I wanted to ask. And before I get into the next question I want to ask, I just want to, in case anybody missed what you were saying, because you made some important points. And as soon as I'm done speaking on this point, we're going to play the Goons trailer, because it recently got released, and we want to speak about what distribution strategies you have in place for such a film. And I want to get more on that. So I just want to add more and elaborate more on what Mr. Raphael was talking about, because I feel it's very important. And Mr. Raphael, while I do that, is it possible if you can just check your mic again, because you're saying very important things and we're missing at the most crucial time. So as I elaborate on what you spoke about, and then we'll play the Goons trailer, I'll have further questions. So may you just check your internet while I do that. So Nchimuya had asked that what are some of the ways we can distribute our films? And for us in the industry in Zambia, and I think if you watched the earlier session, Mr. Lee also spoke about it, that actually we don't have an industry, we have a community of filmmakers. So Nchimuya was asking that apart from Zambezi Magic and film festivals, where else can one take the film? So Mr. Raphael actually of having an active social media presence. So what are you doing with your social media account? You're a filmmaker and you're posting non-essential things. And our lecturer, Madam Rachel, actually spoke about that you can do so much change with social media. So he's emphasized that as well. He also spoke about film festivals, that although it's non-business, I wanted to ask him that question. Why do some filmmakers shun away from film festivals? But he said that in that process, you can find a distributor as well. He also spoke about budget, which is very, very important. I remember ever since I've entered film industry, they should always be a budget for distribution. And he said it should be about 40%. That's absolutely correct. So as filmmakers, just as you have a budget to shoot the film, the distribution process should be there. So I want to just let everybody see his latest film. It premiered in Lusaka recently. It's called The Goons, Goonland, sorry. And we'll ask him what distribution strategies he has in place, and see us after this. So check the Goons trailer. Enjoy.
Navera nje they are not taking over the operation.
We could be dealing with dangerous gang that doesn't hesitate to pull the trigger. Let's make sure our families see us alive.
There's a shipment of mukula tree. It is, and it's worth a lot of millions.
Ayana kupela maka. I would like to thank my brother and friend, Koban over here. Amaka Yonse Yobe.
Let me have dinner with you on Saturday. I will give you a treat.
Thank you so much. You need a good woman in your life, you know?
Business so amateur. I'm questioning my decisions,
I have a lead.
I'm not taking calculations.
Stop or else I'll put a bullet in your back.
Akapokona n'abasabi tunguko kubowa next kusanga ndalama shachiripisa kisira kumasiro what is chef muti
in this case many years.
Tell me the members of the gang. I want names.
If I talk, I'm a dead man.
Very, very interesting movie. Very, very good movie. And I can tell from the movie as well is that Mr. Raphael is the type of producer who wants to change the narrative. So in Zambia, drama movies. So to bring about an action movie as well, you can see that there's a vision somewhere. So Mr. Raphael, before I read some social media comments and I bring Nchimuya to also ask the final question, and I know that time is not on our side. Briefly share with us what are some of the strategies or some of the plans you have in distributing this particular movie.
Sorry, may you repeat that question?
All right. What are your plans in distributing this movie? How far are you planning to take it, and what are some of your plans in distributing this movie?
Okay. Let me just give a brief history to Gunland. When we were starting Gunland, we meant it to be a mini web series. So we shot the first episode of the first 8-minute episode, and the trailer we put there. And then one DC contacted us and said, "Oh, this is a very nice concept. Why start the feature film?" So to us, that was a lot of motivation. It wasn't a pre-sale agreement; just those words made us change the direction, and we decided to make a feature film. So we were making that feature film with distribution in mind, and we started marketing it, of course, way before I think 20 into the shoot. And in the process, we attracted. So far, we have offers from 4 distribution companies, and then we have one from cable TV, which we are preparing the broadcast version, because the cinema version, the one you saw, is not the broadcast version. So we are still preparing the version that we send to the cable distributor that got interested. So our strategy was really just to maximize on the opportunity that was presented to us through an idea by one American-based distribution agency.
All right. Let me just get some social media comments here, and I think this will also help. Michael, and he's from the UK. He says that looks like a great movie. Can't wait to watch it here in the UK. This film is made in Zambia. How will it reach the people in the UK? I'm planning to make a movie. How can I make my movie reach the United Kingdom and to access people like Mr. Michael? Did you hear my question? Mr. Raphael, did you hear my question?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. May you repeat?
I start again?
Yeah. Sorry, I got.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. So we've got Michael. He says he saw the trailer. Says looks like a great movie. Can't wait to watch it here in the UK. So, do you have plans to take this film, or how can this film reach the people in the UK? And a young filmmaker like me, trying to reach people like Michael who's in the UK, how can I reach them?
Currently, one of the distribution offers we have is from a UK-based company. If you agree with them, then that movie will be accessible online on their online platform. So our distribution target is not Zambia or the region alone. We tried by all means to make a film that is watchable in any region. Of course, the language we used is most, I can say maybe 35% Zambian languages, but we made it for a global audience. So we're going to have subtitles, and yeah, if whoever will settle for has to be a global distributor so that people can watch it from anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, just as we begin to wrap up, unfortunately, I should also say that the network wasn't too good. So, I hope I'm not done. This topic, I think we need a part two if possible. Yes, so I just want to read some of the comments. And I should say that actually, ever since the beginning of this movie, Gunland, we've seen an increase in action movies being made in Zambia. So I remember when it started off as a web series, there weren't really many action films. So we glad that you influencing the film industry that way, and we reaching out to higher audiences. So Moffat agrees that social media is very effective. So that's a point that you agreed with. Others. So there's a question from Moffat. He says, "What's a producer brief?" So for a layman's perspective, may you just in the shortest possible way, what is a producer's brief?
Okay, a producer's brief is roughly a short story on how that movie was made, who was involved, who the director was. Yes, it's more like a brief about how that movie was made. Some distribution companies, especially cable TV, document.
All right. So yes, thank you very much. Mr. Raphael Nyirenda, in the next 5 years, where do you see yourself?
Wow, why I see myself? How makes them a that biggest dream. Have like multiple and 8 studios where people would come from all over the world to come and make a film in Zambia, because we have amazing locations, we have amazing talent, we have passionate filmmakers. We just want to open this country to the world.
Let's say there's a big distributor watching this right now. You speaking as a filmmaker, trying to lure or entice the international community or international investors to come into Zambia. What would you say about the Zambian film industry that can make it different from why should someone not go to Namibia or Nigeria? Why should they come to Zambia?
Distributors should come to Zambia because Zambians are telling stories about Zambia with an international appeal, with an international audience in mind. Let them come and discover the talent that lies in this land, the stories that are in this land. We have many stories, many of an iceberg. We have yet explored the abundant stories in Zambia. Great stories in Zambia. Investment with the right talent, which we already have, we will be the production hub of this region.
All right. Thank you very much. It's time is not on my side, but I want another session on distribution, and I would love to finish this. Mr. Raphael Nyirenda, it's a pleasure. You can check Airways Films on Facebook. He's the CEO of Airways Films and Run Productions, doing great things here in Zambia, putting a lot of actors up, a lot of actors in that film. They will testify that he actually picked them up from the streets and put them up on the big screens. He's the man behind the post-production on the biggest productions on Zambezi Magic DSTV. This is the man in the background, but very effective. Mr. Raphael Nyirenda, it's a pleasure. I think we should finish this off the camera. God bless you.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I just had to come in and tell Mr. Raphael, thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your wisdom with us. We really do appreciate, and that was a great experience. It was refreshing listening to your story. Thank you very much.